That's
Hello.
super handy.
Yes, it is the end of spooky season, Tony. I've finally finished my spookiness, and to cap it off, I've been
Fantastic.
playing some very spectacular games, starting with Super Adventure Hand. This was one I played in Steam Next Fest, I think earlier this year, and I was quite impressed with it. And
Yeah.
it was given away free on Amazon Prime, like Twitch Prime. So I decided to check it out there. As you can see here, the evil feet are taking away the hand's arm.
The Foot Clan.
This is the deep lore of Super Adventure Hand.
Yep.
But I was pretty impressed with it. I was like, it's sort of jank in the right way. It's actually very fun. It's essentially you play as he's named the Thing in the Addams Family. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, I don't actually know the name. I assume that's correct. Yeah.
I think his name's just Thing.
Right.
But yeah, you are just a moving hand, and not the Thing, the giant orange rock, and not the frozen monster that can shapeshift from John Carpenter film. Speaking of films, actually, Tony, I said I was gonna start watching the Friday the 13th films with friends. We've been watch partying the Friday the 13th films, and we've watched 9 of them so far.
Oh god, you're one away.
From Jason X.
Yeah.
Okay, we watched Jason Goes to Hell Part 9 yesterday. I think it might be the worst Friday the 13th film I've seen so far. It is so bad. It's barely a Jason film. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, we were laughing all the way through Part 5 because Part 5 is fucking hilariously bad.
Yeah.
Them damn enchiladas. Part 5 is a very entertaining one, but it's just not very good. Also, they did this weird thing where they're trying to make Tommy Jarvis Jason, and then they immediately give up on it.
Well, no one liked it, so
yeah. But yeah, we're at 9, and we're like Jason X next, but chronologically, Freddy vs. Jason came next, and I was like, I've never seen Nightmare on Elm Street, and I was like, we need the deep lore, so let's watch every single Freddy film now.
Well, technically, Jason X was made before Jason versus Freddy.
It came out, but in the chronological lore, yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's by design because being in space just means it's always going to be in the future, it's never going to be in the past. Well,
speaking of horror films, the Addams Family's got the Thing, and that's one Super Adventure Hand. This game is okay. It's one of those games where it's like you play it for like a couple of hours and you finish it and you're like, oh, that was pretty entertaining for a couple of hours, but it's not like gonna win any awards, It's one of those inoffensive games, I guess it's basically pretty fun, but it's not amazing.
Funny concept.
Yeah.
So is this like a puzzle game technically, or a platforming puzzle?
Yeah, puzzle platformer, I would say. Yeah, mostly platforming. Some physics-driven stuff. There's also comes to a part where it's like fucking Lemmings, where you have these little baby hands you have to escort to the end, which I wasn't a big fan of. Yeah. I mean,
it's very easy to get that wrong.
I genuinely just don't really enjoy that escort sort of thing.
No.
I mean, I'm trying to think of an example of a game where I have enjoyed that. I mean, Clank bots are always fun. I think Ratchet and Clank did that well.
Well, it's very forgiving, and it's more like a puzzle than a combat or protecting them.
They had one of those in the new game. I don't know if you saw, but
no.
In the new game, that you go into the timeline zone, and you have these infinitely spawning robots, and you have to push them around to get them into the right time zone through different means. It's quite good.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, I feel like the admission price of free for me for this game was perfect.
What?
Because
what's the normal price? I know it's free.
It is £10.99 on Steam.
Okay, that's still quite cheap.
So it's not horrendous, but I'm sure it could be something you pick up on sale. Probably go down to like, I think it's been as cheap as £8 here. It says on Steam DB.
Right.
But yeah, this is pretty much the whole game. Is you have to platform through and get to a coffee mug. I mean, I like the humor of the game, in the sense that it's very like story light, but it kind of makes fun of that in a little way.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like a fake story.
like I played the demo and I was like, this is a really fun concept, but it kind of feels like a bunch of tech demos strung together. And after playing the full game, I can say it kind of feels like a bunch of tech demos strung together. But it's not bad in any way. It's still fun, I think, is what I really wanted to say.
No, it's not as cohesive as it could have been, or it could have been.
Here's those evil feet with their eyes.
Wait, they've got shoe boxes? Oh my god.
I like that you can collect thimbles, and then you can unlock new like watches or things to put on your hands, like wristbands and rings and stuff like that. And there's a button just to flip people off. It's one of the like dedicated buttons in the game.
It's a very important button.
There's one part where you just jump on a skateboard and just start skateboarding around. There's some of the later levels do get like a lot more interesting, but yeah.
But why is the lava just like floating? Like I don't know. The levels just seem to be
just floating in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, I think it could have done with a like. I like the art style, but I think it could have done with like an art pass where there was just like some sort of cohesion to bring the whole thing together.
Like bring it into the existing world. Like just go full.
Apparently, it works well on Steam Deck, so it can be a good one.
Okay.
For the Steam Deck. But like, I assume you're not gonna. I think the final bosses you have to like keep throwing stuff at this giant foot. There's like a full-on boss fight at the end. Oh, there's a reference to a red plumber hat there. I wonder what that's about.
I think there's a reference to a flex tape as well.
Oh yeah, the classic flex tape reference. But yeah, let me check what I gave it on my rate. I've been using Backlog GG still. Very happy with that website. I gave it 3 stars, so I was like, yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
And then
just above middle.
Now this is one I was streaming to you, Ghost Town, the annual Ghost Town Pumpkin Festival. And if you don't know what that is, it is essentially, it's a game on itch.io. It is free, and essentially every Halloween or around Halloween, they basically let you carve your own pumpkin, and then they just display it in the game. It is a really awesome idea, I think. Because basically you get to get into the spirit of Halloween. You go around this spooky town, and you get to create your own creation. But you also get to go around the town looking at other people's creations, and you can like the ones that you like, and then you have like a ribbon you can give to one once a day.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah,
I guess like social experience, I suppose.
Yeah, I was expecting to play this one for like 5 minutes, and I think I ended up playing it for maybe like an hour or something. Just like because there was so much weird stuff in the actual, the town itself.
Yeah, there's like a guy in a tractor, isn't there? Also,
yeah. Or there's like a maze you can go through.
Yeah,
you can place a pumpkin in it for people to find.
And we are now believers, of course. That's very important to.
Oh yes,
I believe.
So there's a slicing tool where you can cut out like straight lines, and then there's like a carving tool for when you want to do more like a freehand sort of thing.
It's like scraping the skin off. I've never done that on a pumpkin before.
Oh well, wait, did you do one this year?
Oh yeah.
How was your one? How was your one this year then?
Well, I bought it from a. What did I get it from? I can't remember where from, but it's like one of the only ones left that look good. Yeah, I can't remember which one though, or where it was.
Oh, okay. Is it important for the viewers? Tesco, the carbon neutral Tesco, was it?
It's. I don't know. I wasn't feeling any like grand designs. So it's just the tool face made it look very cartoony. That's what I'm gonna say. It's a lot harder to cut than
but you can toggle the lighting and see what it looks like at nighttime and daytime. But as you can tell very quickly, I'm not an artist. I'm very bad at doing anything that involves art. But I just thought
I
it'd be
mean,
fun just to
it's some
make
art.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's always good to just give it a go.
I think I was just adding some ears to it.
Oh, I was gonna say, does it need some ears?
But this is the
I'm gonna be
actual
honest with you,
town itself.
pumpkins don't
So
have ears.
the way it works is, I think there's like a little hut where it shows you like use an algorithm to pick ones it thinks that people may like. So you can see here you can give them a like, or you can report them if they're offensive. I think I only saw one that I was like, okay, maybe that one needs to be reported. It seems like most people were like pretty cool with the whole pumpkin carving fest. I guess it's because it's like it's on itch.io. It's not, and I'm guessing nobody was like streaming this super much. I think if it was like a big thing on Twitch or Steam or something, maybe you'd get a lot more trolls in
Yeah,
it. But I feel like most of the
yeah.
people who came into this game were coming with good intentions just to make some cool art, which is what I experienced.
Did it say it had like
Um,
almost 4,000 pumpkins submitted? Is there not too many? Like in the
yeah,
grand scheme
and
of things,
the
of how
way it
big the
works
internet is.
is there's these spots all over the town where you can place your pumpkin, and once you place your pumpkin there, it's there forever, sort of thing for that season.
Yeah,
Um, and
the
I
spot's
placed a couple
free.
of pumpkins, but on the initial town, I couldn't find any spots. But you can travel to like there's basically copies of the world. So there's like multiple. They're like servers. They're like
Like, yeah, like
oh, I
instances of
love this
servers. Yeah,
lattice pumpkin. I think it looks
yeah,
sick.
yeah. I
Like imagine if you could
that's
make that in real life. That would be sick.
yeah. I think you could like not make it out of a real pumpkin, like an ornament, but yeah,
Mm.
it can't. That's not
The
possible.
derpy pumpkin.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that.
So I was because you were watching this, I was wondering if you were going to get any pumpkin ideas from what other
Oh
people had
yeah,
made.
but I'm not. I don't know. I'm not very good with faces. Like I always want to like I like the really intricate ones. It was like, but I'm not that good. Like my
No.
aspirations are far greater than my skill.
But yeah,
But I definitely yeah, I like them. They're like
the
inspirational.
way it worked in this game was you're just like a ghost flying around, and you can take photos. You can chat to other people because
Oh,
it's an
it's
online server thing, so you can
yeah.
um, talk to other people. And then there's a couple of attractions, I guess you would call them. You can see what it's like at daytime. Then you can switch to night at any point if you want to get different
It's clearly
lighting.
designed for nighttime.
I think this is still running actually. It says we saw a record number of pumpkins submitted this year, over 6,000.
Oh wow.
The server will shut down for the season after November 12th. So
Okay.
um, potentially by the time this comes out, you might actually still be able to go in and look and see if you can find my pumpkin or go and submit your own. I'll see if I can show. I think I have footage of where I placed. Oh, feels bad, man. See if I can. Oh, here's me finding places to place my pumpkin. Because I was like, I wonder if there's any spots around here. And I think eventually I just switched to a different server so I could.
Yeah, what was it? What's it called? Like, it was like Ghost Server or something.
The name of the server. Oh, that's true. I should see what server I switched to.
I swear it's something like Ghost.
I don't know. Let me have a look. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. That one's got a lot of rosettes.
Yep. I guess some would just like go, I'm just gonna write some words. I tell you now, if you try and write words in a real
As
pumpkin, very
somebody who
difficult.
tried to write words, I was stupid. I like that one. As somebody tried to write words with the pumpkin tool in this game, that was a bit of a pain as well.
Yeah, once I saw the tool, I was like, oh, okay, those words are
They
actually
don't
more
let you.
impressive
They
than
don't
I
let you
expected.
freehand with the actual carving tool. You can only sort of freehand with the scraper.
Yeah.
So you have to sort of commit to the. I don't know where the point is where I switch servers. To be honest with you, Tony. Oh, the cool
Oh,
world.
cool. Okay.
I'm placing
That's
it.
the server you were on.
This is where I placed mine. Was by this heart. I made a couple. I think. I think I did a small one as well. I was customizing my ghost. A little Shrek goblin. Oh, you were very upset with my cat. You didn't think it was a great cat.
No.
I gotta say, I tried my damn best to make a good cat. You know.
Well, you be the. I'll let other people be the judge of this.
I think it was a very good attempt at a cat. You know. I mean, you look at that, and that screams cat to me. So
Does it?
it's a very spooky cat. You see,
It's definitely a different kind of cat, that's for sure.
it's a very different cat to the one you're used to.
I think your first pumpkin's pretty good. I just thought the non-perspective legs huge.
Oh, don't flame, Tony. Don't flame. This is my hard work.
Yeah, I should flame when a kindergarten makes a pumpkin. You're right.
I wrote words on it. I wrote words on it.
Yeah,
what did I write?
yeah.
I wrote.
That was meow.
Oh, I wrote
meow,
meow, didn't I? Yeah, I was trying to figure out how to do that through
You're
like
breaking the laws of physics.
inverse cutting. No, there was a really tiny piece of pumpkin holding it inside the pumpkin. You just can't see it.
You use your wire to hold it up.
Yes, it's smoke and mirrors. It's smoke and mirrors. But yeah, that's the Ghost Town Pumpkin Festival. If you're interested in that at all, you can check that out. And then next game I tried, Tony. I have a tradition of every Halloween. I like to stream a new Dark Pictures anthology game. I have streamed previously the Man of Medan and Little Hope. And I liked Man of Medan. I wasn't a big fan of Little Hope, but one of my I don't know how much of the story I can go into without getting into spoilers, but I'll just talk about my general thoughts about the game first.
Okay. What's the premise of it? Like, what's different from the
So House of Ashes immediately, usually the Dark Pictures anthology games, they start with a flashback to a long while ago. So Man of Medan starts on a like a haunted ship. I don't remember how Little Hope starts, to be honest, but this one you start in like ancient times, basically, before you start playing the actual game. I think it's very much set in it's like a set in the war in Iraq. Is like the setting of the game, but this is like ancient Iraq. So what happened before that point? A Sumerian temple. So I don't know, to be honest with you, I don't know much about Iraqi history. So like it was interesting to see this.
Yeah, it is Mesopotamia, by the way. So it's
Mesopotamia,
like
right?
When they lost, their crops started to fail.
But it starts out with like there's a king sacrificing people in order to appease a king, a god sort of thing.
Yeah. So the Akkadian Empire. There you go.
So yeah, there was a humble choice bundle for Halloween for October, and it had this and The Quarry in it, and I didn't own either of those games, so I picked that up. And yeah, I got to say, I actually really like this game. I think it's my favorite one so far. So I'm still yet to play The Quarry, and I'm still yet to play The Devil in Me, which came out last year. I don't have that one yet, and oh, here's one thing I experienced. The doors were super low resolution compared to everything else. I thought maybe there might be like a texture streaming bug. Because I was like, why?
Get that?
I don't know, because the levels of detail of like just random objects was like super low for some reason. It'd be like super high resolution people, and then there'd be a door that like a PS1 door, a PS2 door.
Yeah.
It was so
weird.
But I've seen that before in like Ratchet and Clank when it came out on the PC. There was a bug where sometimes crates would be like super low resolution. It was using the lowest LOD all the time as a bug. So I'm wondering if that was a bug that didn't get fixed.
Yeah, it's very possible. Or is it like a new bug they introduced in an update? I don't know.
I think the characters and the story of this game are by far my favorite. I think.
Oh, really?
I didn't like Little Hope at all. I think that's the one with like Will Poulter in it, and there's like a witch trial going on at the same time.
Oh yeah.
This one, was like very interesting. Not only because you have that Mesopotamian
Yeah,
history, but
I
also
find that very interesting.
it flashes back to I'll skip ahead to the modern day,
Yeah,
and this modern day. It's from the perspective of U.S. soldiers in Iraq.
yeah.
But immediately at the start of the game, so this is at the start of the game, it starts out with one of the characters is having an affair with one of the other Marine officers, but it's sort of like she's like you find out they're husband and wife, and she's with this other guy, but they've been apart for a long time, so you're not sure if they're
Yeah,
if they're on a break or if they're cheating, sort of thing. So,
it's the end of the
but they
boat,
actually,
yeah.
what I'm trying to say is that they have real relationships and they're real characters, unlike in the previous game where I felt like every time they were speaking, it was like literal NPC dialogue.
Right.
Here it is. Ashley Tisdale. So she's one of the big actresses in this one. I don't know if you remember her from. She was in what's it called? The High School Musical. I think she was in. Was like the big film.
Okay, well, I never saw that, so
Oh, you're not a High School Musical enjoyer.
no.
Okay.
I'm not a musical enjoyer.
But yeah, she was in a lot of like. She was a big Disney star, I think, for High School Musical.
Right.
So.
Okay.
I kept the letterboxing on. I like the film feel to this. I think it is nice to have that mix between looking like a film and a game sort of thing. I mean, I think there's an option to turn it off. Some people are really against letterboxing in games, which I will talk about with the next game as well, because I know people were complaining about that as well.
I'm not a massive fan of it. Like, I know it's movie cinematic, but I don't read it as cinematic. It just makes me feel it's the wrong resolution.
But because
it's fine.
I ended up playing this with a mouse and keyboard, and I think from playing a couple of games, I think the best way to play these games is usually a controller because of QuickTime events, and it's the easiest to press on the controller. But given that there were so many guns in this game, because it's like an army story, there was a lot of times where you would have to aim very quickly as like a QuickTime event. So I think using the mouse and keyboard was actually quite good in this game. One of my complaints with the mouse and keyboard was they would have a QuickTime event that was the mouse, and it would be left click or right click, but it wasn't clear if you were supposed to, which one was highlighted, as in if it was the left click or the right click.
Like the actual icon was hard to.
Because it would take a mouse, right, and it would have one of them in white and one of them in grey, and I'm like, am I supposed to hit the white one or the grey one, or which one are you indicating for me to click?
That's very common in a lot of like icons on the internet as well. It's just like
if they just gave me half of the icon, maybe just the left click, or just don't use the mouse, maybe just the keyboard would be easier. I actually went into the option because there's a bunch of accessibility options, and I was getting so annoyed by it. I just set it to it only ever gave me a QuickTime event on one key. So I think for me it was the S key. So every time there's a QuickTime event, I just had to press the S key on my keyboard, and I found that to be a good compromise between using the mouse and keyboard and having the QuickTime events in there, because I didn't want to use the controller for the aiming sections, and I didn't want to like randomly switch between. But there's tons of like you can completely turn off QuickTime events if you want to. You can basically there's button mashing things, which I think you can turn off as well. But not to say I didn't fail. Not to say I didn't fail a couple of QuickTime events, and still with only one button ever coming up. I definitely did. And the thing I like about these games is I always go in like almost completely blind, where I don't watch anyone else play these, so I don't really know what's ever going on. And I think for me, like, if I accidentally kill a character, I think it's more interesting just to play it through. Like, I think I had a couple of characters go, without going too much into spoilers. There was a couple of characters that got killed off, and I just kept playing, and it was interesting to see how the story changed as a result of my choices. I always think it's very interesting with these games. Like, I'm not a big FMV kind of guy or like a point-and-click game, but
Yeah,
I don't know. I really like these games. I think there's something special about them. I mean, they got supermassive games got really big with Until Dawn, and I know people absolutely love that game.
yeah,
But
that was pretty good.
I never played Until Dawn because still to this day it's a PS4 exclusive.
Yeah,
You
it's
cannot play it
unfortunate.
on any other platform. Um,
Are these? Do you know if like are the games related to each other, or are they meant to be just like completely different stories, completely
so
separated
the
from each
Dark
other, or like
Picture
what? Or
anthology always happens. Always starts with a flashback, and then it goes to the curator inside of the library area, and he sort of gives you a little bit of backstory. And then in between chapters, there's an option for him to give you a clue on how to figure out the mystery and what's going on.
right.
I will say, because I don't think this is really a spoiler, so I then can say this. There is a scene where they go past a sign that says "Little Hope" on it. So I think maybe they were trying to. I think there may have been more of like an Easter egg thing because it's not really. I don't think it was really that important to the story, but it was just like a little nod to say, "Hey, maybe these are in the same universe," sort of thing. You know?
Just like because I guess the idea is just like it's a similar theme or like similar emotions or
Because
circumstances.
this is the
Maybe not
Iraq War. I think
exactly.
it was like
Yeah.
2003. This is set in maybe.
Okay. They had a boombox to data.
Oh, this is
Things
also
like
set in. This game also has ray tracing as well, which I had turned on, which I thought looked quite good. Especially for a game where you're going to be sitting back and watching it, sort of thing. I think like that's a perfect game. You know, you're not going to need insane quick inputs for like mouse turning or anything. Pumping up the graphics high and just sitting back. I felt like a lot of time playing this game. I was like, oh shit, quick time event. I was just laying back and sitting back and enjoying watching the film.
Yeah.
Which I could definitely see, you know, happening to other people. But it
That's how
just
you
means
die.
I'm getting like engaged in the story and enjoying it, right? But yeah, I think there is some really
Well,
good
it's
scenes in this. I think like there's this one scene with like this giant pool of blood, and it's got like this like red glow on the character, and it looks really
That's
fucking cool. I think that
Actual
scene was really
lighting.
impressive for me. Yeah.
Oh, 4x3 screens.
Yeah, log in, dude.
I was getting early 2000s nostalgia. Is that bad?
I don't know. Do you want me to go into spoilers about this because I could
Uh,
to give my overall thought because there is something I really want to talk about this game specifically, but I can't. Are you interested in this game? Can we do a spoiler tag and talk about it?
we do spoiler tag. I don't mind.
All right.
Just an end spoiler tag, I suppose.
Yeah, do a spoiler tag because one of the big thing about the Dark Pictures anthology was the first game. It was like, oh, there's this spooky shit going on, and it's like you're on a boat, right, and you're fighting these ghosts, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, you were all like drugged up, and it was actually you killing each other, and that was the big twist. And I thought that worked really well for the first game.
Yeah.
But then in Little Hope, they pulled this shit where they were like, oh, will Potter go crazy? And it was like, okay, it's, you know, the creatures aren't real sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which so the entire time playing this, I was like, okay, what's the twist? And the thing I really loved about this film, Tony, is there is literal vampire bats in this game that you have to stake to death. And the entire time, they're like, yeah, it's real. It just happens, which I loved. I was like, finally, I can play a game where I'm just going around killing vampire bats, and it's actually happening rather than being like, oh no, wait a minute, it was all a dream at the end. And I think that's what a lot of fans were waiting for with these Dark Picture anthology games, because there's only so many times you can be like, oh, and here's the twist, it was all a dream, nothing you did mattered, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I think like, but towards the end, Tony, it gets fucking nuts. Like, there's like an Iraqi soldier called Salim, who is probably one of my favorite characters in these games. You get this great backstory about him wanting to just go and see his son on his birthday, but he basically gets dragged in by his captain to keep fighting the war, despite the fact that the Iraqi soldiers are supposed to have surrendered. And he basically has to team up with these US soldiers, and they're very like hostile at first, but the story lets them come together, sort of thing. And towards the end of the game, it's almost like an alien film. I shit you, like this game goes places you wouldn't know, like literal like alien homeworld, like pods of spawning vampire bat aliens. Yeah.
Okay.
And you basically go down there, plant explosive, and you're like, we're gonna blow the fuck out of them. And you just like go and blow up like like you literally have Ashley Tisdale gets infected on my game, and she had a vision of them coming from a meteor and landing on this planet. So there's alien vampire bats in an Iraqi temple in the middle and underground, and it's like, yep, it all happened. It's real. And I was like, yeah,
some balls to do that.
That shit's fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, there's this great scene where the hardcore military dude and Salim bond, and it's like, we need to go or Salim's gonna die. And I was like, nah, fuck that, I'm going back for Salim. You have to do like 5 different quick time events of killing these vampire bats by throwing spears, and I pulled it off and saved him. And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah. Like that was such a great moment where you get rewarded for taking the risky move, but it pays off where you get to save some really cool characters. And I think that's one of the things I really enjoyed about this game. I was streaming this to some friends on Halloween, and I think that improved it as well, just having like this group experience and be like, yeah, we're going to save this character, or oh, I'm going to keep trolling this character and just making them say nothing over and over again. But yeah,
it's cool you get those choices.
I love this game. I think it's great. I would highly recommend this one to anyone. I think it's the best one so far. Again, I haven't played The Quarry or The Devil in Me, but from the Dark Pictures anthology, the first 3, this is definitely the best one in my opinion. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, the ancient stuff. I only ever saw. I didn't know like the modern Iraq war stuff. I just saw like the early Mesopotamia Iraq. Or yeah, I guess it's like ancient Iraq stuff that I saw that looked really cool.
But yeah, really awesome. And let's move on to the final game of Halloween. And we have The Evil Within. So I earlier this month, spooky month, I played Ghostwire Tokyo, which is made by Tango Gameworks, and The Evil Within is one of Tango Gameworks' earlier games. It came out in 2013. So, okay, there was fucking mannequins throughout this entire game, Tony, and not once did they like do spooky shit. And the entire time, I kept going around destroying these mannequins. I was like, they're gonna do some fucked up shit with these mannequins. I can just tell. These mannequins are throwing me the fuck off. There's got to be some weird shit that happens with mannequins, right?
And then it never happens. I want possessed mannequins. We need more possessed mannequins in games and movies.
I don't know. I think maybe something weird happens in the second game. I don't know. So, one thing. So, I'll just go over this game and like what I've learned from playing this game. This is a linear psychological horror Resident Evil game. Is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, that's what I've seen of it. That makes sense.
It starts off very much... Okay, so it starts off me going, what the fuck is going on just constantly, because so much shit is happening, and it's very much like you never know what's real sort of thing. It is very much that psychological horror thing. But it starts off, you're investigating a bunch of murders at a hospital, and then suddenly you get sucked into this... There's a man that I called Assassin's Creed because he's just dressed in like a white hood the entire time.
Oh, okay.
But here it is. This is the start of the game. And you get sucked into this like, I don't know, dream, your life. I don't know how you want to look at it. And essentially you have to fight your way through these like apparitions of horror in order to try and escape and figure out what's going on. So apparently this was developed by Shinji Mikami, who was the creator of the seminal Resident Evil series. This has a lot of like Resident Evil DNA in it, which I guess makes
Yeah.
sense. Because he used to work at Capcom from the 90s to 2006, and then he went to work at Platinum Games and Clover Studios before going to Tango Gameworks.
Wait, so when did this game come out?
2014.
Oh, Assassin's Creed. He's so quick.
Yeah, it's Assassin's Creed. This is what I'm talking about.
That's funny because the new Assassin's Creed Mirage is like that you can like line up like multiple assassinations that you do like immediately, sort of thing. So like it looks like kind of like that.
Yeah, man. How do I go into this game? Because I'm trying to think how I structure it because it is so weirdly structured, the game, and there's different revelations you have. I think it starts off like chapter 1 is basically like a hide and seek horror game.
Okay.
So you're being chased around this factory by this guy with a chainsaw, and I was like, oh man, I heard this was like a Resident Evil game. Is this just a hide and seek horror game? And I was kind of disappointed. But then it opens up like after the second sort of like chapter into like an actual more of a Resident Evil style game. And I think that's where the game got really good. But I think so. The Evil Within has some chapters where I'm like, genuinely, this is like A-tier Resident Evil survival horror stuff. And then there's certain chapters in this game where I'm like, this is awful. Like the best way I can describe this is stuff like the early chapters or chapters 7 to 10. It reminds me of like the earlier Resident Evil games, like your Resident Evil 1, 2. You're just going around like there's sections where you're going around like these giant haunted houses full of like zombies, and there's puzzles and weird shit going on, and genuinely it's really fun. It's really, really cool. It reminds me of like this A-tier survival horror stuff. The problem is it has those high highs, but there's stuff like chapter 6 where it actually reminds me of Resident Evil 6, where I'm like, that chapter almost made me quit the game because it was that bad.
Oh god.
Like it was that jarring. Like you get this whiplash between different chapters sometimes where it's like, this chapter is so good, and then this chapter is like, oh god, this was a game designed 10 years ago, and what the fuck are they like? So like for example, for chapter 6, it's a survival horror game, but for that chapter, the entire thing is an escort mission with limited supplies and infinitely spawning enemies. So it is absolutely awful to play because you're running out of resources, and then you have to keep fighting these waves and waves and waves of enemies that keep on spawning, and you run out of resources, and then you have to start from the entire beginning again every time you die, and it's just like, holy shit. There is like an insane difficulty spike at chapter 6 for some reason. I have no idea why. Like, I wish the pacing of the game was a bit better. Like, maybe if they put the chapter 6 in at the end of the game, it would have been a bit better. But yeah, the combination of an escort mission and infinitely spawning enemies just made it feel like an absolute slog. Like, there's tons of shit I really loved about the game. Like, I would say it's very slow paced a lot of the time. Like, or you should be slow paced. There's a lot of like stealth mechanics, so you can sneak up behind enemies and kill them, and you do want to walk around slowly as a general rule of thumb, because there's a lot of traps around. So there will be like these wire traps that you can dismantle, or these explosion traps, and I think the traps are some of the strongest in the game because they do have these giant death machines, and you're just like, why the fuck would anyone build these? But they're just so awesome to see.
They look
in
really
person.
Cool,
yeah. But I just remember in one of the later chapters, it was just like there was a carnival ride, and it was like it had this giant saw blade just spinning around and around and around, and the enemies tried coming towards me, and this blade just came through and just chopped them all in half, and I was like smiling. I was like, this is fucking awesome. Like, this is so cool, but it's so like
visceral.
Oh man, I've seen people say, oh, this is a masterpiece of like survival horror, but I think I couldn't recommend this game to most people because there is such a high like cost in terms of the actual The game's very difficult. I think I died like 60 times on the survival difficulty,
really?
which is the
Okay.
like medium, the one like the normal one above the easy
Yeah.
difficulty. Because a friend of mine was like, "Oh, this game was given away free on Epic recently," and said I was thinking about playing this. And I literally just said to them, "I don't think you would enjoy this. Don't play it." Like, it takes a lot of commitment to play this game, especially now, just because of not only because of like talking about it from the perspective of how good the game is for 2014, but the game is really dated in other ways because of the 10-year gap between when it came out and when now. Like, there's no FOV slider, so you can't like pull the camera out. You're constantly very zoomed in. You have these letterboxes on the screen, which I was talking about before. I don't know if you noticed them, but that was something people complained about when this game came out. I like letterboxing stuff. I mean, if it's your artistic vision to put letterboxing on, then sure. I think it looks fine in most games.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it, but I can deal with it. Like, it's not a make or break. I'm not gonna get angry about it.
Yeah. But there's a few like weapons in the game. There's like a pistol and a shotgun and there's like a deagle, a sniper rifle. Like there's like that classic like Resident Evil weaponry arsenal, right?
Yeah.
But then I think where the game shines the most is the crossbow, where when you dismantle these traps, you can get scrap and you can craft your own bolts. And then there's like frozen bolts and explosive bolts and electric bolts. And there's like a billion different bolts that all have their own unique like way to play. And I think that's an area where the game really shines.
Yeah, that's kind of unique.
I shit you not, Tony. You upgrade your character by collecting brains in jars, and then you go to a mental hospital that you enter through a window. You look into a mirror, and then it takes you back to the mental hospital, which then lets you get plugged into like an execution chair, which then zaps you and lets you upgrade your character. Like, when I was like, when I was like Tango Gameworks, I wish you did more weird shit with Ghostwire Tokyo. They did so much weird shit with this game. It is so interesting in a lot of ways, but it's like, in other ways, it's so hard to play in other ways. Like, it's definitely, oh man, The Evil Within is a really flawed game, but part of me really loves some stuff about it. I don't know how I feel about this game. Like,
I think I want to play this, but like knowing that there's like really hard sections, I still think I want to try it, but ooh.
I think I might say anyone who wants to go in and play this, you could play it on the easier difficulty and give that a go, because man, chapter 6, man, I just remember the specific chapters because I remember like literally being like, I'm gonna quit playing this game. Like, I can't handle this. Like,
is that annoying?
Talking about difficulty, you remember when I was playing Ratchet & Clank and I was like, oh, cool, I've got a lot of upgrades and feeling quite powerful. I'm going to turn the difficulty up.
Yeah, at the end of the game.
This game lets you turn the difficulty down mid-game, but you can only turn it down, and you have to restart the chapter in order to turn the difficulty down, and then you can't turn it back up. So if I wanted to turn it down for a chapter, I would then have to play the entire rest of the game on that difficulty without restarting the entire game.
Why?
So like, I just kept going on the survivor difficulty because I was like, genuinely a lot of the chapters were better on that difficulty for me. But it was like, I kind of wish I could have turned it down for that one chapter, chapter 6. And then turned it back up.
What's the point of difficulty things in a single player game? It's like, oh, I'm finding this difficult. I would change it. Or I'm finding this
there was another. So there's like 15 chapters, I think. There was another difficulty spike at chapter 11 that I'd heard. Because after I played chapter 6, I went on Reddit and I was looking up to see if other people experienced the same thing as me. I was like, surely other people, you know, because I see a lot of people saying this game's a masterpiece or whatever. I was like, surely other people have experienced this and know what I'm talking about. And immediately I went and read it, and the first post that somebody made like a couple of days ago was, what the fuck was chapter 6? Like, people playing this now are like, okay, you know, there's a little bit of a difficulty imbalance here. Yeah. So this is like, because this first chapter is just not representative of the game at all. This is like representative of, you're escaping and the world's collapsing, but then you shift again to like a mental hospital. This is the mental hospital I was talking. Like it is sort of all over the place, but I guess that's the idea of like going insane, sort of thing.
The intro reminds me a lot of like pre-2011 horror stuff where it's like they're trying to reboot certain franchises. Like it just has that sort of vibe to it. But I'm glad it kind of goes more off the rails.
Yeah. Because I played this and I was like, what is this engine? It almost felt like Unreal Engine 3. But it's actually a branch of id Tech.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
I would not have guessed that.
it's running on id Tech. Well, because Tango GameWorks, how long have they been under ZeniMax and Bethesda? I actually have no idea when Tango
No.
GameWorks was bought up by Bethesda. Let's have a look.
I'm glad the nurses that doesn't give a shit.
2010. So this was made after, which makes sense if it's id Tech that they would use their in-house engine. So apparently, Bethesda wanted to assist them on. Bethesda stepped in to assist them on making a game, and then they got their parent company ZeniMax to acquire the studio. This is what I'm reading on Wikipedia.
Right.
So
okay.
then,
Interesting.
this is why it's made on id Tech. But yeah, fucking id Tech, dude. That's crazy.
Didn't know you could do. I don't know. It doesn't look like it at all.
It does. Well, it kind of reminds me of Rage, which I think is another id Tech 5 engine potentially.
I don't know.
Not to be confused with the Rage engine used in games like Rockstar. So this is how you upgrade your character with brains in a jar.
It makes sense. I don't know why the nurse is so calm about this. I think this guy's insane.
Well, I think a core theme of the game throughout is just like figuring out if you're going like insane or just what the fuck is happening. I think there is a great amount of mystery to this game, which I think is probably one of the driving forces for finishing it, was just like, what the hell is going on? So I played this game and I was like, oh, it's a linear horror game. Apparently The Evil Within 2, from what I've researched, is a open world game. And I'm just like,
oh, really?
How the fuck did they go from this to an open world game?
I'm very curious to see how they managed that.
I mean, Ghostwire Tokyo is a very open world game, so I guess it makes sense that they would, do an interim open world game and sort of refine on it. But yeah, interesting. Like I'm usually more of a fan of linear stuff, but I don't know, because there's DLC for this game, and I don't know if I'm going to go back and play that. I essentially was like, I finished playing the main story, and that was enough for me. Like, I was like, I kind of want to play something else because of the jarringness of this game and how dated it is. Also, I'm playing on the Steam version, and I don't know if you remember, but they released a patch for this game like a couple of years ago, but only for the Games Pass version. Like, they did that with a couple of games. Like, Nier Automata got a patch for the Games Pass version, but no other version for some reason.
Yeah. They're just very bad at keeping the games up to date.
But I think the patch added like a first person mode or something that you can use or something. But I didn't try that out. I played it over the shoulder, but I don't think this would have. I don't think this game would have played better in first person, in my opinion.
I like the Resident Evil 4 over the shoulder.
Yeah. But yeah, I think with this game, I think it's good at the start and it gets better as it go on. It has those difficulty spikes. I don't think I could recommend this to most people as just a general recommendation. I would say a lot of people playing this today are going to get really turned off by just how dated the actual like the controls and the actual like game itself runs and everything.
So no Zoomer could play this.
No, it's not a Zoomer game. I mean, if you're like a huge survival horror game, you're like, oh, I've played everything else. Like, you could try this, but know what you're getting yourself into. You might not like this. Just as a caveat, I think I gave this game a 3-star. I just
3. Okay.
yeah, a 3 out of 5. I think apparently that's the average rating is 3.4
Yeah.
out of 5 on Backlogged. So because I saw a lot of people giving it like lower ratings, and I think a lot of people just
I think the theme is really strong though, but I want to. Looking at this, I want to try it, but with the knowledge that some of the levels are Resident Evil 6 level.
yeah, I mean that genuinely.
Yeah, and we've talked about that again. So
I mean, Resident Evil 6 is probably the worst game of all time. So
no, that's
off the
pretty
top of
much
my head, I
true.
genuinely can't think of a game that's worse that I've played. I mean, there's Sonic 06,
Right.
but I've never played
Yeah.
that. So, oh, yeah. I mean, I've had a lot of fun in Halloween. I'm gonna pull up something that Tony can't see because I'm pulling it up on OBS. But here is a list. I guess I'll send it to him on Discord. Here's a list of every game
Do you want
I've.
a timestamp for this?
Yeah, sure. Here is a list of every game I've played in Spooky Month. So we've got BioCrisis, Save Room, Chop Goblins, Carry On, Greatest Time of the Year, Save Room, The Merchant, Ghostwire Tokyo, Metal Hellsinger, Resident Evil 3, Super Adventure Hand, The Dark Pictures Anthology, and The Evil Within. And I think the easiest recommendations from there are Save Room, Ghostwire Tokyo, The Dark Pictures Anthology, House of Ashes, and then some Resident Evil 3 Chop Goblins. I think most people might like. Yeah. I think those are my recommendations. But yeah, definitely check out Save Room. Definitely check out Ghostwire Tokyo. I think those are really strong games.
I think definitely check out Carrier.
Carrion is sick as well. Yeah, Carry On is really cool as well. It's quite short. I think it took me about 6 hours or something to 5 or 6 hours to complete it, but it is genuinely a really fun game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the end of Tangerine this year for Halloween, and I hope you had a spooky time, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
One ending. Bye.